Okay, so if you're new to coding or a beginner, learning programming can be a tricky process because there's so much information you have to absorb and understand. And for this reason, I've put together a simple core toolkit for learning programming, and I want to share this to help boost your progress. So I won't waste your time. I'll walk through these tools and the flow from which I'd use them. So the first of the three is a simple one, but it set the foundation for my progress, and that is a coding concept spreadsheet. So I know when I say this, it sounds bland, a spreadsheet, how bloody boring is that? But as we know, learning programming for your chosen programming language or path can feel like a mammoth task, and there are just so many topics and subtopics you need to learn. And so because of this, you need a sense of what you need to learn and feel like you're progressing. So I created this concept spreadsheet from my programming journey, and I'll run through this spreadsheet with you. So it covers the usual web development essentials, JS, HTML, CSS and algorithms, and it includes subtopics for each. But this approach applies to whatever form of programming you're learning in particular, and you can customize it. So at the top, you can quickly see some quick resources, but more importantly, you can see this file helps me work through programming topics I've populated and then gradually learning one by one and checking off each as I learn them. And I'll note if I've learned the topic, if I've practiced it, and I'll rate my general confidence in each subtopic so that I know how much more I need to learn or how much I need to revisit that topic and practice it further. And then over time, you build a sense of confidence as you check off these items and you feel that progress starting to mount and grow. And as you note down your confidence level in each topic, you get that kind of reaffirming feeling that you're improving, or maybe you're reflecting and you understand where you're going and where you're heading. You don't have that fog of like, oh, there's so much for me to learn. And it gives you that sense of that direction rather than spinning your wheels trying to learn everything all the time. It's just mentally taxing and you just don't want that. So of course this isn't a complete list either, there will always be more to learn, but it gives me a sense and an overview of what is essential for like a solid foundation. And I can go through this spreadsheet in more detail in another video if you'd like that. So now I've listed out the concepts to learn, you can see how those headers that I kind of showed you from the spreadsheet connect to my next tool, a digital notebook. You can use any file system as your personal digital notebook, whatever suits you. I've used Google Docs at times, I've used Notion, I've used text files, but my go-to at the moment is Obsidian, a popular note-taking platform. So what I'll do is I'll work through each of the topics in the spreadsheet I've just shown you. I'll learn about each of them and I'll watch tutorials, I'll read documentation, I'll complete a simple write-up about each topic so that I have this stored somewhere in this Obsidian file. And now it's easy for me to revisit my understanding in the future. And the benefit of Obsidian is that its interface is really fluid and intuitive and also really easy for inserting code. And I found it to be far more efficient than other platforms. And also the brilliant thing about Obsidian is that you can build out this kind of second brain of concepts with a diagram view. And as you can see, you can kind of visualize out this diagram and kind of connect how the ideas that you've learned are actually working together and how they might interconnect. And this is, again, is really powerful because, as I've mentioned before on this channel, you can think about it as building out your own kind of bespoke learning environment. And that's just a great way of conditioning your mind to feel more engaged in that process of learning. So now I've got my notes down, I've got my direction, I'll move on to the actual coding. And so what I've done is I've created a learning ground kind of coding folder with each of the topics I've touched on in that spreadsheet, I've touched on in my Obsidian file. And now you can open up this folder in a development environment of your choice. So that might be Visual Studio, or recently I've started using WebStorm. But as you can see in each of these files, I practice writing out the syntax and familiarize myself with how it works. And it's so important to build out that muscle memory of the syntax itself, because when you come to solving a problem, you don't want to be thinking about what type of variable to use. You want to be thinking about how to actually solve the problem. And here I'll do lots of repetition with the syntax, add definition notes, and I'll build micro projects or components that utilize these concepts that I'm learning as well. Or you can also even add larger projects to this environment so it's all in one place. And so the benefit of having this folder is that if you ever do get stuck on a coding problem, you immediately can refer to it for some guidance, and it was made particularly by you. It's not just some resource on the internet, you've created it, so if anything it's more valuable to you and it's more particular to the way you like to understand things. And so as you can see, by using this combination of a spreadsheet for direction, an Obsidian for notes, and a coding folder for the actual programming practice, I'm gluing together my programming understanding with these tools. And so hopefully this video has illustrated how you can use these tools in your workflow, and I'll link Obsidian in the description. And if you're interested in accessing the spreadsheet I created, let me know in the comments and I'll create a fresh one for you. And that's it really. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.